Hello, and thanks for joining us. This week, Arizona lawmakers end the 2017 legislative session, a $9.8 billion plan for next year. Among the big-ticket items, education funding. Arizona Public Media's Christopher Conover traveled to Phoenix this week for a one-on-one interview with Governor Doug Ducey.
This budget is a real winner for K12 education, for our universities, for our kids, for our teachers. We took all the available dollars. I think sometimes people forget that just a few short years ago, we were in a deficit as a state. We had a $1 billion deficit. We had to make some very difficult decisions in that first year to balance that budget. Now we're investing again, we're spending again, and we've got nearly $170 million additional dollars for K12 education over and above inflation, $63 million committed directly to teachers. And this is all on top of Proposition 123, which was $3.5 billion guaranteed over the next 10 years. And we've been able to do all of this additional spending and investing without raising taxes. It's going to be very positive for education, going to be very positive for our kids, our teachers, and that doesn't even touch on universities yet.
When it comes to the budget, you mentioned university funding. It seemed like that was the big sticking point. You stuck to your guns. You wanted that money. The legislature came up with it in a different way. Is it the right solution, or is it just the compromise solution?
No, I would say it's the right solution. For me, this was about resources and dollars to our universities. We have great universities in this state. You know, the University of Arizona, ASU, NAU. We are among the fastest growing states in the country. We have the fastest growing county in the country in our state, and these universities are growing. So if we're going to be bringing these kids through the K12 system that's ever improving and they're getting better results, we want to have universities that can bring them in, and we want to have the infrastructure that can address 21st century needs in terms of research, laboratory investment, etc. And that's what this is going to do. It's going to allow our university presidents to plan ahead, to focus on the excellence of their enterprise, to keep doing what they're doing, but to do more of it and faster.
When it comes to K-12 teachers, in your State of the State address, you asked for a raise over a couple of years. The legislature moved up that timetable speed-wise, but we still have a shortage. How do we get teachers to stay in the state?
One, we have some great teachers in this state, and I want to give our teachers an incredible amount of credit. We want to get them even more money. You know, Arizona is improving faster than any other state in math, reading, and science. We're making larger gains than other states in the country, and that is because of the quality of our teachers. We're having a teacher shortage in Arizona. It's not just Arizona. This is happening across America. People that are my age, many of them came out of school and wanted teaching. They've been doing it for about 30 plus years. They want to go into retirement. They've earned that retirement. We want to keep our good teachers in the classroom. We want to attract young people into the classroom. And then we did another good thing in terms of accreditation. We let subject matter experts that have experience, that are in the private sector, come in and at least present themselves to a principal or a superintendent to help fill that need to teach classes at both the grade school and the high school level. So we're addressing this. There's more we can do. We also want to forgive debt for students that are in college and want to put their career into teaching. So we're going to add different tools to the toolbox along with raises and resources that we think will help mitigate this problem.
In your State of the State, the Teachers Academy, that was part of the budget. The legislature passed it with the three universities working together to get teachers out and in the same direction.
Absolutely. I mean, we went to the universities and we said, we educate these children. Many of them go into law or medicine or business, and in a short amount of time, they're making a significant salary. We want to improve teacher salaries, but there's a burden in terms of room and board and tuition and debt that's taken on. What can we work together on to help lessen that burden so it makes, if they have that passion, you know, people don't go into teaching for the money, but they work incredibly hard. They deserve to be rewarded. And if we can take that debt or some of that debt away from the tuition perspective, perhaps we can attract even more good people to come into that profession.
Early in the session, we had the Empowerment Scholarship Bill filed, what some people call vouchers. It's expanded it pretty much to all kids, depending on the amount of money available. Critics say it's only going to go to the rich kids who are already in private school. especially because a lot of private schools cost more than the $5,000 that are available. Is that a valid argument?
No, I think that's inaccurate. This is a law that existed since 2011. It's helping foster kids, it's helping disabled kids, it's helping kids on tribal nations and children of military families. There's less than 5,000 children that are taking advantage of this, but they need this. Their parents need this choice. There's other kids that aren't in those same situations that also need this choice. This is a good idea. It's a very small reform, but for people that need it, it can be a lifesaver. This can be for tuition, for textbooks, for tutoring, for educational therapy. The best way to think of it is it's an educational savings account that gives the power to the parent so that they can address the needs of their child. It's something Arizona has really shined in terms of educational choice. And Tucson was the founding of the basis school. And U.S. News and World Report says that Arizona has 5 of the top 10 public high schools in the nation. So we know how to educate a child here. School choice has been good for the state of Arizona. We need to do this more often in more areas with the same amount of attention to our district schools, our public charter schools, and when a parent has a special situations, ESAs can help.
I heard someone say that the empowerment scholarships, especially for kids with special needs, the original version of it, if you will, really in some ways is a condemnation of public schools, that public schools can't educate kids who are out of the norm. Is it a condemnation?
No, not at all. And I think this is the part of the problem, is that everyone wants to polarize this debate, is that everything is either right or wrong. How about leaving this decision to the parent? And we have options in the state of Arizona. How can you say to a parent of a disabled child that when you give them flexibility in the dollars, knowing the needs of their child, that would be a condemnation of public education? The idea of public education is to educate the public. Yet our kids come in different shapes and sizes and different circumstances. And what we do in Arizona is we acknowledge that, and we give as much power as we can to the parent to make the right decision for their child.
Your predecessor, Governor Brewer, recently came out and said maybe she shouldn't assign some of the tax cuts that she did. Maybe the state needs that money. You've put forward a lot of tax cuts. You're a businessman before you were here in state government. What's your thought on the former governor's feelings on tax cuts?
Well, my focus is, how do I bring business to our state? How do I bring companies to our state? How do I make sure that everyone that wants to get a job in the state of Arizona can find a job? In this very office, this is where I meet with a lot of business people from other states, oftentimes from California and Illinois, that are looking to relocate or expand or bring their supply chain. They all want to know what the tax climate is in the state and what it's going to look like in the future. We've won more than our fair share of those discussions and negotiations in the last 28 months. The fact that we're a low tax, light regulation state that's improving in K12 education has allowed me to really pitch to these people that are making those decisions. I think that we can make our state more attractive for business and continue to invest in education as long as we're growing in terms of population and economic development, and that's my plan.
You mentioned unemployment. Numbers are looking better. We're still a little behind the national average. How do we fix this?
Well, we keep doing what we're doing. You know, we're a growth state, so when the economy is going good in the country, it's better in Arizona. When the economy suffers a downturn nationally, it hurts Arizona more. But we're out of the job losses that we had since the Great Recession. Now we're adding jobs, growing faster than we have or than anyone else is in the country. That's what will bring the economy back. You know, in southern Arizona, Comcast, Caterpillar, what we've been able to do with the University of Arizona in terms of infrastructure, the relationship with Davis-Monthan and Raytheon, all real positives, all very much focused on that we're going to be bigger than one county in this state or one city. I've really enjoyed the visits to southern Arizona. I think I've been there 30 plus times this week. And much of our budget, much of our focus has come from listening to the citizens around the state. And we've really had a focus on economic development in southern Arizona.
Wrapping up your third legislative session as governor, What's left? We assume you're running again, but what's left on the horizon?
These campaign cycles are far too long. We have another legislative agenda that we'll have in January, another state of the state, and then there is a date for decisions in 2018. I think it's too early to talk about that. We'll talk about that at the appropriate time. What we want to do is close up this session, sign this budget, and begin to put the plans together so that we can have another successful legislative session and state of the state in January.